Alrighty. What's going on, y'all?
What's up?
Kevin Kuhn here from Athlete Factors Podcast. I'm here with my good friend Ethan Blagg. And Ethan Blagg is up in Colorado drinking some delicious tea, I bet. And Ethan is a massage therapist. And that's kind of the topic of discussion for today. So, Ethan, why don't you take it away? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background and experience in athletics, in academics, and now as a professional. And you can even go into what you're doing with school right now.
Cool. So as far as make me talk about myself.
This is going to be a really good podcast, y'all.
This is going to be great.
Yeah.
So as far as education, I went to school with you. We ran together track at Cedarville, cross country, jogged, more like. You were the one who convinced me to switch my major to exercise science after lots of, after
long conversations.
After spending a semester in academic probation with your mother.
Yep.
So did exercise science degree.
That's not your mom joke. My mom actually worked in.
She literally, Becky Kuhn.
Yeah.
Yep. So got my degree. That was kind of what I wanted to do, was go down the path of working with athletes, training, strength and conditioning, kind of what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up moving to Colorado kind of on a whim after graduation, the week after graduation. Got out here, was kind of just working, doing like sales and stuff like that for a while, not doing a whole lot of anything, and realized I wanted to still work with the body. So went to massage therapy school.
Nice.
That was a year, started doing massage, working with the body. That was kind of cool because as far as the education, a lot of it fit together with the exercise science. And then, so doing massage therapy for a few years now. Started out working with a chiropractor, learned a lot through that. Now I'm working at Massage Envy, just believe it or not, it's a lot of neuromuscular therapy, myofascial therapy, a lot of therapeutic stuff. Wanted to go down physical therapy road and was looking into getting I was going to have to take some undergraduate courses to be able to even look at PT school. In the course of doing that, I realized, I don't want to do this. I love working with the body, but it just wasn't the direction for me. Yeah. So currently I'm in school for computer engineering at UCCS. So got 2 years left of that. So that's it in a nutshell, I guess.
Yeah. So I convinced you to drop that major, and then you eventually made your way back to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool. But just from conversations that we've had since you moved up to Colorado, since you started doing that, I know that it's not just like massage therapy isn't what you decided to do while you figured out what else you wanted to do. Like, you really dove into it. Yeah. And you continued to learn, and some of the stuff we'll get into later about like some of the books you read about just about theory and stuff like that.
Dude, the body, that's it, is like, as far as career wise, I'm kind of taking a left turn, but as far as, I was thinking about this today, the things I've learned in the last few years and going back to college are pretty amazing. I think they'll impact my life for the rest of my life, and hopefully impact, more than just my life. But I'm definitely still excited about it all. Yeah,
for sure. I think there's probably a lot of carryover, at least in an abstract sense, between like how the nervous system works and how the body works from a neurological and movement perspective, and how we're developing things like AI and computer systems, and we've sort of touched on that. I don't know anything about that stuff, but I'm sure that there's some like carryover in why you find both of those things, interesting. So
yeah, I think AI is maybe not AI, but like neural networks are modeled after the human body, or it's a specific
yes.
part of the human body. But yeah,
that's exactly what I meant. So alrighty. So let's talk about what gets you up in the morning. Like, what are you really passionate about, Ethan?
My alarm clock.
Haha.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. When I was looking through that, I was like, what does wake me up in the morning? Right now, to be completely honest, it's what I'm studying in school. This semester, I took a class that involved a lot of complex exponential math. Nothing to do with this, but
massage therapy,
it very much excites me. I think the learning maybe math, different engineering topics. I think that's probably the answer to that. Like learning math theory, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is that kind of like a foundational part of like your next level classes, or is that something like right now that you're able to use and apply, or is that sort of like a stepping stone to do what you want to do?
I would say it's probably a stepping stone. I mean, the classes I'm taking are we're starting to learn how to apply it and to like solve problems. I'm taking a class this summer over circuits and systems. So it's learning how to do the math on modeling those circuits essentially. And then I don't know exactly where it leads. I think it's hopefully will, but
gotcha.
Yeah. So
cool. Well, let's talk about the stuff that I brought you on here for, because nobody cares about computers, Ethan. Nobody cares about that. So, what are some things that you like, and what are some things that you dislike about the profession of massage therapy?
Yeah, so I think start with what I like about it. I definitely believe in it as a part of, I guess, as a part of a lifestyle, taking care of your body. For me, it comes down to, I think, functional movement, posture, the way that affects your nervous system, your the different systems of your body all work together, and to make your musculoskeletal system work appropriately has a benefit for the rest of the body. We talk about the good parts of that specifically, but I think as far as the things that bug me about it, there's a lot of like voodoo type stuff. People talk about energy, which I don't have a problem with, but one of the things I've learned, I started out with believing a lot of the me getting into like people talking about Reiki and the what do you call the chakras, things like that. I don't think that's all BS, but my belief system has developed into, well, why don't we try to explain this stuff physiologically? Like, what is happening with the nervous system? Why is it that you can do, say, Reiki, which is energy, but it actually has a positive effect for people? Like, I've experienced it, and I've experienced kind of the emotional and physical releases from it. So there's clearly something that happens with it, but it bugs me when people, I have a coworker who was recently doing this, talking about, oh yeah, I work the energy flows of the body. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Try and explain that to me without just, that means nothing to me. So
yeah. Is that placebo? Is that like, are you sort of leading the witness when you're the therapist and you're trying to explain what you want the customer to feel, is this stuff measurable?
Right.
Are we subjective, or is this more of an objective thing? Like, that's one of the things that I think is super interesting, because I do think there is a lot of benefit to manual therapy. And like you were saying, I haven't personally experienced like the emotional aspects of that, where like you come out of that and you feel like
bawling your eyes out or something weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I do know that people respond very differently when certain aspects of fight or flight response is activated. And I'm pretty confident that like deep tissue manual therapy can have can activate the fight or flight response. So
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't know if it's related to that or not, but I do think that's really interesting. So,
well, on that, because I've done a lot of Rolfing, I've had a lot of Rolfing done on myself, which is like a deep myofascial work, essentially meant to change the structure of how you hold your body. Like your muscles move you, your fascial system kind of holds stuff in place in a longer term. So if you have your rounded shoulders or something like this, it is your muscles that are holding you in place, but the fascia that wraps around it is it plays a large role in what keeps it there and can allow your muscles to kind of disengage. So releasing that stuff, I have experienced weird emotional, like I've walked out of sessions, especially the first sessions I had, and I would just be like, whoa, like, oh, like feeling on top of the world. And it didn't go away. It would stick. And that was to me really fascinating. I've had craniosacral where I'm talking this, there was a lady who worked on me, and it was just like hands lightly, like barely even touching me. And I felt, I don't know how to describe it, like stuff moving through my body, like releasing and weird stuff. I remember the weirdest thing about that, there's two things. I could not stop giggling. I was like, and it was like emotional. It wasn't like just a normal giggling. Like it was kind of intense. And then the other thing, I remember feeling this something, she was like touching my arm or something, and I felt something distinct. It felt like there was a bug on the inside of my skin being dragged across my skin, like through my neck. I don't know.
That's crazy.
It was weird. I've had a few different things like that. It sounds crazy, but to me that's like, okay, there's something clearly effective about this work, because you feel pretty good about it afterwards. But what, like, let's try and understand how what is our nervous system reacting? Is it physical, as in like is it your muscular system? So
who knows? I think that's the point. We need to figure that out.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and another thing that bugs me a little bit, and it's not, I don't know, when you had Ambrose on, listening to him talk, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but one of the things he talked about was the need for different modalities to value each other and to work together. And I think that's super important, because I hear people talk about how like doctors are no good or this or that, and I'm like, first of all, you're a massage therapist. You've had 1 year of school. Like, shut up. and then along those lines, I have coworkers who think they're chiropractors and like are adjusting people and telling them. I'm like, that is so far outside your scope of practice. Like, you have a box, and it's okay to reach outside of it here and there, but for the most part, you should know what you're capable of, know your area, and let other people have their expertise as well. So,
for sure, yeah, that's one reason I wanted to talk to you. I'm also planning on bringing in another massage therapist at some point. I think she specializes more on like the lymphatic system. So I'm like super interested to hear some of her responses to some of this, just because I don't know exactly what what she would say. So I think that'll be really good to kind of see where you guys have similar opinions and where you guys differ. I just think that'll be interesting. So
yeah, that brings up when I was in school. I remember there was a day when I think we were tested. We had like a what do you call it when they test your manual skills, clinical sort of experience, and I completed that, and then think after that I started feeling a little like my energy was a little low, and I had a friend in school who was like, "Oh, I do lymphatic drainage. Let me work on you." I was like, "Sweet, like awesome." So I laid down on the table, and he started doing like the drain stuff. When you kind of, I honestly don't know much about it, but like pulling the fluid out of the lymph nodes or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Within 2 or 3 minutes, like it hit me like a ton of bricks. I ended up, I think it was flu or something similar to the flu, maybe strep. I don't remember, but that's some interesting work.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've questioned, like, should I have had, like, were my lymph nodes doing exactly what they were supposed to be doing, like pulling that stuff out of my blood system and we pushed it back in? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. That's one reason I'm super pumped to talk with her, just so I can get a lot of questions answered. Like, what's the theory behind it? Like I know of people who have got a ton of benefit from it. So I know, like, it's not just one of these things that it's a unique specialty. There is a niche for it, and I think there's a lot of post-surgery benefit to it when the body's trying to clear out damaged tissue that can't, for whatever reason, can't get cleared out by the circulatory system. Either the junk is too big to pass into the circulation that way, so it has to be cleared via the lymph system. I'm not sure exactly, so but yeah, it's another part of anatomy that's like, okay, we need to understand this better so that so that we're filling in these gaps between our professions where we're all working with the same essentially the same piece of equipment that is the human body, which is super complex. And to say one profession is garbage and then at the same time try to like take the place of another profession that's beyond your scope of practice, that's not a good idea. So but I mean, I'm sure we're all a little guilty of that, and that can be tough because we are all working with the same essential knowledge base. So it can be, well, it's not distinctive lines, like there's a lot of gray area. So,
and it may be the case too that you have like I had a lady telling me today that she doesn't like physical therapists because she had some weird reason, like basically not a bad experience, but not the greatest experience with physical therapists. I'm like, well, you got physical therapists that weren't good at their job. That's the problem. Like it's nothing against the profession.
Right.
You get a good physical therapist. And so I think a lot of it comes down to the individual competence or skill or whatnot.
For sure.
Sometimes.
No, I totally agree with that. So, so since this is, Athlete Factors podcast, where does massage therapy fit into the realm of athletics or sport performance?
Smack in the middle, slightly to the left.
Can you explain that?
Nope.
Excellent.
Where does it fit? I tend to think, I mean, I don't know if it's vital. I think it's beneficial. But I think you can say that about anything. I think if you're an athlete, clearly you want to be limber, you want to maintain muscle balance. I mean, that you could explain these things better than I can, but I think massage therapy can play a role in that. I mean, if you we came out of the running world, you're going to get, say, tight hip flexors. You're going to have a tight chest or whatever it may be. I think massage therapy plays a role in assisting loosening tight areas. And kind of just rebalancing the body, making sure things are working properly, which is where I don't know, my belief has been influenced a lot by Rolfing and Feldenkrais, I think a lot, which are structural integration and structural function. Now I'm blanking on what it is, but the idea is that there are two approaches to it that I'm kind of familiar with, that I kind of buy into. One is you want to have good posture, and one is you want to be able to move. Yeah, just move basically without restrictions when where they shouldn't be. And I think both of those play into any athletic endeavor. I mean, if you have good posture, you're going to have quicker reaction. You're not going to be limited by, essentially bad movement patterns is what it is.
Gotcha.
Giving you freedom to move in whatever direction you want. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of broad, but essentially free movement, I think is probably a good way to sum it up.
So do you think it's more along the lines of like, if like it can be an acute therapy for somebody who is having like an issue right now, or do you think it's like better for someone like, okay, so let's say a runner has bad thoracic spinal posture and they're extremely kyphotic,
which they do, they all do.
Yeah. yes And
I don't run much.
exactly I cut way back as well.
Go on.
So for something like that's more chronic, that's more like their posture tends to be stuck in that position. So is it something that you think would benefit, it'd be beneficial to do kind of over the course of a season to help prevent excessive posture held in that position? Or is it something that you can just do like, hey, a runner's coming in, they're having neck pain or they're having back pain because it's probably related to their posture and they're stuck in this position, so 1 or 2 sessions, boom, send them on their way, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think
or
that
both.
Yeah, both, but I think that my belief has developed into consistency is the best thing. So I think regular massage is going to have a better effect. I think that if you do have an issue, a couple sessions, even sometimes one, if it's depending on a lot of things, but that can really help and can stick for a while. But like people will ask, like, how often should I come in? And I always say, well, how much money do you have? Like, if you can come in every week or every twice a week, then do it. Why? Like,
you're gonna feel better.
You're gonna feel better. It's gonna help you. Another thing I tell people is, like, you basically, this is my own case. You basically come in, and there's people who have recurring issues, like their, let's say their TFL is chronically tight. Come into me, they go out and it feels great for 4 or 5 days and slowly kind of tightens back up. And it's like, well, that's the point. You're going out, you're running, you're riding your bike, you're doing something, you're beating yourself up. It's going to tighten up. So you're coming back basically to be able to continue doing your activity without pain. Now, on the flip side of that, I think this is another thing that frustrates me about not about massage, just about human beings. It's like, if you go home and you stretch for 10 minutes a day with the problem area, it's going to disappear, most likely. For most people, I think you're going to be able to at least keep issues at bay. If you pay attention to your own posture and you stretch and you put a little bit of time into it, suddenly you're, I don't know if this is fair to say, but the need for massage therapy is not so great. But people don't do that. Maybe your audience, like athletes, do. I think that's probably the case. But
some don't.
Some, yeah, exactly.
I mean, athletes are people too, and like the whole idea of an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure falls on deaf ears, regardless of
Yes,
whether you're an athlete or not. So
that's it. And that's, to me, it's like it's a lifestyle. So yeah, if you have an acute, especially okay, so if you have an acute injury and you, let's say you don't do massage or anything like that, and then all of a sudden you have a hamstring issue or something like that, yeah, come and get a massage. That may, session 2, 3, 4 may fix it, and then you can go back and have no issues. But and so that is just that's another role of massage therapy. But as far as kind of overall health and especially like sports performance, I think staying regular with it is better than anything. Even like my case, I get worked on every 6 weeks because I don't want to pay for every 4 weeks. So I just push it out to 6, 7 weeks. And I think that has helped me more than if I mean, it's kind of stupid to say, but obviously that helps me more than if I waited 3 months
right.
and got worked on. So, my back starts hurting and then it's like, okay, well, I have 1 week to go until I get worked on. Does that kind of answer what you were asking?
Yep, for sure. So, do you?
What's your view on that? What's your view?
My view on as far as like frequency goes, or working on yourself and being diligent on doing a little homework with areas that are problems, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and even kind of what you asked me, like with massage, is it?
Where does it fit?
Well, and like, should you wait for something, or should you stay regular with it even if you have no issues?
Yeah. So with athletes, so here's kind of where I come down on this issue. If you're doing like a generalized massage where it's just like 90-minute full body, then I don't think that's going to necessarily be super beneficial for addressing your problem areas. What it might do is address like general stress and help reduce cortisol production and just reduce your level of in generalized inflammation, things like that, which for some people might be exactly what they need. But if it's an athlete who has specific targeted issues like chronic and excessively tight hip flexors or excessively kyphotic posture, then that doesn't happen overnight, and the body doesn't want to, in my opinion and experience, the body doesn't want to just reverse out of that after one session. Like, it's always going to revert back to what it assumes is a protected state, or a state that it can it assumes is efficient or effective for whatever you're doing. So sometimes it takes a while to convince the body that, what, this is not a good position to be in all the time, even if it's a beneficial adaptation to the sport that they're doing. Like, sprinters tend to have excessively short and tight hip flexors. That helps with sprinting mechanics. It helps with power production and power output, but it can also lead to a lot of joint issues and specifically low back pain. So for runners in general, like, I had back pain all the time. So would getting a massage have helped me out? Probably. Did I ever get one? No. So hindsight's 2020. So I wish I knew then what I know now. For a while, I was actually trading services with a massage therapist where I was training her and then she was working on me, and I found that extremely beneficial. Every once in a while, I'd say, and the nice thing is we were talking the same language. So I'd say, like, hey, I'm feeling some issues here. Can we target this? We don't have to do, we don't have to do my whole body. Can we just spend time working on this? And she's like, oh yeah, of course. And then, I'd feel a whole lot better. Immediately after doing that, I'd go home and I would do some targeted stretching. I would do some corrective exercise, and I found that to be really beneficial. But other times I was just like, I'm just stressed out. I just want to feel better. And sometimes that's just going in and laying down on the table and having somebody just work on you, not
Right.
as deep and intense, but just kind of a more generalized global approach. And so I think there's benefit to both, but it's each of those is a tool in the toolbox, and you need to pick the correct tool for the specific job that you're trying to go after. And I think a lot of times the global approach is used to address a specific issue, and I don't think that's as beneficial or beneficial. So
you saying that popped a couple things in my mind. I think in my experience, I mean, this surprised me. I didn't want to go work at Massage Envy at first, or I was hesitant because I figured it would be mostly what we call fluff and buff, like that overall relaxation. I remember in the interview, my boss was like, no, most people want therapeutic. I found that to be very true. Like, how many athletes are there that don't have specific problem areas? And I think how many people in general, like everyone has specific issues. And that I think I kind of, when I'm talking about it, I kind of assume that everyone has a specific area. Everyone comes in and it's like, can you spend an hour on my shoulders? I'm like, yeah, because everyone, and that's where everyone holds their tension, even if you're just, going throughout your life, or hits or something like that. So I think when I say staying regular, like doing regular massage, it's not just like a Swedish. I hate Swedish. I incorporate it because it makes, if you start doing like trigger point work, which is a little painful a lot of times, doing a little Swedish strokes afterwards can really kind of soothe that and really, so you get that therapeutic and the relaxation in one. And I think staying active can help you, or when I say staying regular with it, I mean staying regular on problem areas is kind of,
Gotcha.
I think I'm kind of assuming that in my mind. But anyways.
No, I like that. So with that being said, how do you pick a good / competent / effective massage therapist? Especially because most people have targeted problem issues. Let's work off that assumption first. Like, you're talking to mostly athletes, let's say, for the sake of people who listen to this. They could be endurance athletes, they could be youth, team athletes, whatever the case may be. How do you go about finding someone who is good at what they do and isn't going to, either provide no benefit or overpromise and underdeliver? Like, how do you find somebody who knows what they're doing, who cares about what they do, who takes the profession of massage therapy seriously, and someone that you can trust?
Yep. I think first of all, look at what they are claiming to offer. That's going to give you a little insight. I mean, depending on what you're looking for, like I'd say with athletes, you're probably looking for sports massage, neuromuscular therapy, maybe myofascial, something in that realm, more therapeutic. But that's not going to necessarily let you know whether that person's good. And I don't really have a better answer than to just try them. All the time, people will come in and they'll see, this happens not just to me, but they'll see me and then they think I'm like, oh, you're amazing, and they'll just come to me and no one else. And I'm like, well, that's great. I appreciate that. But like, you should try other therapists, because I'm not the only therapist in the world. They're like, I enjoy going to get massages from my coworkers, and they do a phenomenal job, and they do it differently than me. I tend to do more slow, deep stuff, and other people will get in, like, do a real sports, get stuff really flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say don't be afraid to go to someone and then go to someone else and then go to someone else, and then you can compare them, because no one can really decide what's good for you besides you in the end, I think. And yeah, that's
So you kind of have to, you got to test the waters a little bit. Is it worth
yeah.
going to somebody and after you get a massage from them, asking them who they would recommend? Like, is that okay, or are most people going to be like, are they going to be offended by that if you're like, oh, you didn't like it, you want me to recommend someone else to take my job? Like,
Screw you, man.
exactly.
Yeah, I think always be tactful. If you're gonna do that, be tactful. I know for myself, yeah, absolutely ask me. When people ask me who they should go see, I'm like, well, you should go see Jacob, Michelle, whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I take no offense to that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I'm sure. I guarantee you, there's people that do. I think if someone does, then this is my opinion. But why? Like, I don't want to see you if you're gonna be all possessive. Like,
All butt hurt.
yeah, like whatever. It's my job. I don't, like I do care, but at the end of the day, isn't it supposed to be about you? You should find who works for you. So I don't think it's bad to ask, as long as you're tactful. Which, don't ask me how to be tactful, because that's not me.
Yeah. Your name isn't Tactful Ethan Blagg. It's just Ethan Blagg.
It's not. It's Ethan Blagg. Yeah. I think hilarious. Trying to think of how you, because people do that all the time. I'm like, how do people ask? I think you know what people say all the time is like, okay, when you're not here, when you're not available, who should I go see? Like, gotcha. And that's I'm in a clinic with other people, so that works. I personally think that's awesome. Like,
yeah,
because so here's another view on it. Like, let's say I think I have some clients who do this, although I haven't specifically asked them. But I think some people will, like, say, come to me. Let's say their neck is bothering them. I think I do some pretty good neck work. So I think people come to me for neck work, but then when they want to relax, they go somewhere else, because I'm not going to let them lay there and not dig on things, because like that, my brain, my body.
Stuff.
Yeah, when I feel stuff, people will ask me, like, can you just pass over it? I'm like, I can try. Like,
I can try.
But, yeah.
It's like a magnet for your hands.
Yeah, it is. When you feel something, you're like, oh, yeah. But, yeah, so I think, you find a way, whether you're asking the person you've gone to who you should go to, or just doing it. Yeah, try multiple people, because it's like when I worked in bike sales, people would come in all the time and they'd be like, well, what bike's right for me? It's like, ride the bike. Like, I guess I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to convince you to buy the product. I'll tell you if I believe in it, but I'm not going to tell you I'm the only way, this is the best. It's like, no, there's so many other modalities and individual therapists who do a good job. So
you gotta test drive them.
Yeah, you gotta test drive those therapists.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
no more jokes there.
So tell me a little bit about kind of what expanded your thoughts on massage therapy, either while you were in school for it, or really what I'm interested in is, how did you continue to learn after you finished massage therapy school?
Yeah, few ways. The first one that comes to mind is getting massages from other people. Is once you feel the work, you're like, oh, I can do that. That's a big one. I mean, massage therapy is obviously a tactile, so feeling it is probably the best way to learn. Big ones for me, actually, probably the continuing education, and the one that impacted me the most, I actually did while I was in school, but I've continued to learn from it. And that was Till Luca. His last name is Luchaw or AU, I believe. Excuse me. And he's a rolfer who his company's called Advanced. I think it's Advanced Myofascial Training, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And did you want to know specifically what my learning after is, or just okay? Yeah. I'm on topic here. So that was the one thing that really stuck with me with that one was his goal for body work was increasing your gross movement and your fine movement, fine motor movement and gross fine motor control and gross motor control.
Gotcha.
And it was myofascial based and kind of feeling the subtle feeling the movement. So first of all, moving joints, like if you're to your neck, move it, and you'll feel if you develop this skill, but as you move it, you'll feel where it doesn't want to go. Mm-hmm. You'll feel like, oh, that nope, doesn't want to go there. Mm-hmm. So getting a grasp of that, and then we really dug into getting in there. I think we focused on hips and neck and shoulders, I believe, for that class. But then you can kind of take these concepts and expand them to anything, mm-hmm. any joints in the body. But really, like getting in there and working slowly and mm-hmm. really, really, really trying to feel the feedback that the body is giving you, or mm-hmm. the way the body's reacting to your pressure. That changed the way I work, like permanently. Mm-hmm. Really, I think I was in school at the time for that. I went from doing really deep work, like probably excessively deep, to being like, oh, the body will tell you. It's kind of weird. It'll tell you what it likes. You mm-hmm. press on, it'll let you do deep pressure. You just have to make sure it's, if the body starts kicking back, which would be like a muscle tensing or the person pulling away, guardedness, mm-hmm. Let up. And there's always an avenue in. It's just finding that avenue. Huh. So yeah, we're having other people work on you. That I think reading was another big one. Reading Rolf and Feldenkrais. And actually
tell us all about Feldenkrais, because we've had some interesting conversations about that.
Yeah. Where to start? So I'll start by saying it's been a couple years since I have really delved into it. So I took some of the big concepts away, and like I remember I'd be sitting there reading, and I'd be like, holy cow. And some of those, like, there's so much, his writing is so dense. It's filled with so much good stuff. It's hard to, like, there's no way to condense it. But, so here, let me, I think this is the first book I read by him. I grabbed it. Body and Mature Behavior. And it's basically about from what I took away from it was the relationship between your physical body and your emotions, essentially. The more visceral, there's another word for that, like the parasympathetic and sympathetic, and how they relate to your structure and your functional movement. Yeah. And that was like, holy cow.
So is that like mood and like reactionary emotions, and how that relates to like how certain muscles are holding tension, or how your body's holding posture in a certain way? Is it sort of like that, or?
That it's that and more, but yeah, it's that. So like one of the things I was dealing with at the time was I was learning, I was maturing I was maturing. And one of the things I was working through was like how to deal with anxiety and like just letting go. And one of the things he talks about is a big topic of that book is anxiety and how we actually hold it in our bodies. And he talks about the main area that we hold it are the front of our body, and he goes into like in depth on the reasons. But essentially, what it boils down to is your guts are in the front of your body, and that's our way of protecting them. And it goes
Yeah.
back to, I mean, he follows like evolutionary theory and things like this. And
Yeah.
then
It's a very
and
vulnerable area.
very vulnerable area, yes. And so we want to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he explains it way better than I could right now. I could stumble over the topic for hours.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating how the emotion of anxiety and of like just holding things inside, you feel it emotionally. You can feel it, like maybe you get a chill or something like that, or you're nervous. But I never connected that with my posture at all.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of all at once, I was working through the psychological aspects of that and the physical aspects. But there were times like Rolfing, and then I would spend time stretching. I spent a lot of time stretching, and I'd stretch my pecs, my core, my hip flexors.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to me how after, you know, it wasn't one day, but staying regular with it, you within one day, you'd go from
Mm-hmm.
feeling anxiety to having a good stretch session, and then all of a sudden it's gone. It disappears. I had Rolfing sessions like that. So that, yeah, there's a lot of crossover in my mind between Feldenkrais and Rolf, but he talks a lot about I think he was writing in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So he talks about
Wow.
yeah. So, and that's the interesting thing, is a lot of his language is kind of antiquated, but really what it boils down to is the relationship of the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the musculoskeletal system, really,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty fascinating. I always obsess about like anxiety, but I think it is also like reactionary stuff. Different parts of your body do seem to hold different emotions and different things. Like, and this is going back to, like, I get frustrated about people saying energy, but to me, I mean, it seems fairly clear. I don't know how to explain it, but it seems fairly clear that like holding tension in your shoulders is going to, it has something to do with stress. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you release the tension in your shoulders and your stress releases. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I
he
think.
also, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right, I will. So I was just gonna say, it sounds very similar to um, another topic that we discuss fairly often, which is Jordan Peterson and, you
Yes.
know, his idea of standing up straight with your shoulders back. Like, if you're anxious, then you're not confronting the world in a way that puts you in a position where you're likely to succeed. Like, if you're kind of hunched over and kind of like holding that anxiety, like, okay, like I'm not embracing the world. I'm not confronting it and showing everyone that I at least have a backbone. I'm somewhat courageous. I'm willing to deal with challenges as they come up. Like, yeah, that's kind of this hunched over posture. But when you can stand up straight with your shoulders back, I think, yeah, then you're confronting the world in a more ideal pattern or posture. And I think it's super interesting that sometimes you need help maintaining that posture. Like, everybody, like, you tell somebody to stand up straight with their shoulders back, and they're like, ha, ha, ha. Like, how long can they maintain that? And like, I
Yeah,
notice, like,
yeah.
I'm sitting in a chair right here, and I'm just like, like, my body
Oh, dude,
wants to
I'm
get
always at the
stuck
computer,
here.
and
So
I'm always being in school. It kind of, goes out the window. But yeah, I'm always like this, and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta.
yeah,
But
those deep neck flexors are like,
yeah. Well, look at like as of a few years ago, when like my eyes were really opened to the importance of good posture. I've observed people's posture, and you can maybe overstating this, but I think there's a quite a bit of truth in that. You can tell where someone is at mentally and where they're at in the world by their posture. You look at successful businessmen, you look at elite athletes, they have good posture, and then it's not just good posture. Their endocrine system, their opinion of themselves, and it's not hormones, but like whatever makes you feel good about yourself, serotonin, whatever, like your
neurotransmitters. Some of that is hormonal for sure. But neurotransmitters are going to function better. You're going to in general. I mean, there's
Ray the Rolfer, who I go see. He was
shout out to Ray
the Rolfer. He'll never watch this. He's a redhead. He married an I may be incorrect. I want to say Navajo or some Native American lady, and he's way into like Native American. He's redhead, has a ponytail halfway down his back in braids, and is like into Native American culture. He's awesome. He makes drums for tribes around here. I don't know if tribes is the right term, but he's pretty cool. He's a cool dude. Nice. But anyways, shout out.
Ray.
He has told me. I'm always talking to him, and one of the things that he has told me about why it's like, okay, can you sum up one of the reasons like why it's so important to have good posture? And one of the things he said that really resonated with me is essentially if you free up the bad engagement of muscles, so like shoulders, neck, whatever, if you correct that and you get your body in balance with gravity as it's meant to be, so you're somewhat engaging your muscles to basically stay upright, but you're not just constantly engaged. You're not
stuck.
Yeah. You're releasing the need for those muscles, and so what's keeping those muscles engaged? It's your nerves in the end. And I haven't quite worked this out in my mind, but like it makes sense to me that you're releasing those resources and you can use those resources elsewhere. I don't know, like, are you using your nerve innervating your neck muscle to think? No, but that
requires energy. That is using resources that could be used elsewhere for sure.
Yeah,
I would totally agree with that. Yeah,
right. And that's it resonated with me. I'm always like, that is fascinating, and I've experienced that. I think like I've had times after body work where you walk away and all of a sudden, all the cares in the world are gone, and you feel like you can take on way more around you. Like, and it's weird because that to me is in your mind, but it's like you have this like weight just lifted off. Kind of weird, but so
no, your capacity to take on either responsibility or stress is greater because you've removed a stressor, a physiological stressor, even though it might be local and it might be small and it might seem, like nothing. Like if that muscle is holding tension and that motor neuron or whatever is just like locked up all the time, and then all of a sudden it's not, then that's going to be a huge difference for the body. Like it's like,
right.
Oh, okay. Now we have not only access to new range of motion, but energy.
I'm free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So Feldenkrais.
Yeah, Feldenkrais.
How do you spell that for those just listening?
Oh, dang it.
You put it up. I'll read it.
Yeah, it's Moshe Feldenkrais. Moshe is his first name. Feldenkrais is Feldenkrais. Gotcha. I believe he was a Russian Jew, I think. I don't know. I don't remember. He's got some good books. The Body and Mature Behavior, The Potent Self, which is a fascinating one. That's dense. I've been working on this. I haven't gotten into it for a while, but I was working on this for 6 months, and I'm like, what is this? 100 pages into it, and like I was putting effort into it. Like I could read 4 pages and I'd be like, "What?"
What was that one? Was I think it was like a
the,
case study or something
yeah,
like that.
this body awareness as healing therapy, the case of Nora. Yeah, I remember you brought this up a couple weeks ago, and honestly, it made me think like, I need to reread this. It's short. It's 73 pages, and that's actually no, it's 65 pages. It was essentially him. I don't remember actually a whole lot about it.
You do need to reread it.
I need to reread it. But the gist of it was that he was working with a lady with she suffered a severe stroke and lost neuromuscular coordination, including the ability to read and write.
Wow.
And he has an interesting way of working that basically he was working with her and kind of helped her. A lot of it, you can, if you Google him or YouTube, look him up on YouTube. There are some videos of him working with like kids that I've seen, and it's fascinating because, like you were saying, one of the things about you don't want your muscles reverting to bad movement patterns, and once you develop it, it wants to. Like that pathway is there neurologically, and it likes it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's a pain-free way to move. That's good. Like not necessarily. And he did a lot of like movement and basically getting your body to feel different movement patterns so that it was okay moving through them, which is like super cool. And then like that's what Feldenkrais's work I think does a lot. A lot of it. There's another. I don't think I grabbed it, but there's another book that he actually has exercises that you can do to try and like increase your body awareness, which is just awesome. But he'd have you stand there and then do fine movements. And like one of them, I remember I've worked on it all the time, was like pretend you're a tree and you're swaying. And like, and with that, like trying to feel the balance, like trying to feel where you are at. Because honestly, most of us, I'm doing this right now in my life because I haven't been like real great about it. You move around through life and you don't actually realize what you're doing. Your body is going through the motions of what it's used to doing. And it's not actually like aware of where it is. So that's a lot of his work is awareness.
That's really interesting. People are so unaware of where their body is at in space. Like
they're not even woke.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, how's that dog doing right there?
Evie, do you need some attention? She's okay.
Aww.
Can you go lay down? Do you care if she's laying here?
Fine. No, not at all.
Look, here, Evie, you can lay down. Come here.
So, let's see, where are we? So, what's a quote or a piece of advice or some important information that you think would be very, very useful or beneficial for everyone who's listening to hear?
Oh, boy.
Including me. You got anything to say to me? Now's the time, Ethan.
I don't know if I have advice for other people. I think
what's advice that you would give to Ethan 5 years ago? How about that?
Oh man, mind your own business. I don't know. Don't be an idiot.
That's good advice.
I think, and this goes back to the Jordan Peterson stuff. This has really not anything to do with massage therapy, but
okay. I'll allow it.
Thank you. I think that Jordan. This is from Jordan Peterson, and then have you ever listened to Gary? I think it's Gary V. I forget what his name is, but basically, like the idea that you should work to improve. Like people are like, we should improve the world. It's like no. You have no impact on something that's far away from you. You need to find what's close in your circle, what you can improve, which is yourself to start with. Work on that, and then see where that expands to. But I think a lot of us forget, and going back to myself 5 years ago, we forget that we're pretty imperfect. And so, yeah. And that's, listen to Jordan Peterson because he's like your dad.
He's got some wise words. I just forgot what I was going to say, but It was funny in my mind, but I already forgot it. So, oh well.
Then it was hilarious.
I would hope so. So if someone is in the Colorado Springs area and needs a massage, where should they go to either find you or to find someone that you recommend?
I'm a Massage Envy Rock Ribbon, which,
Okay.
yeah, I would say, I mean, you could Google it. I think I heard there were 600 massage therapists in town.
Wow.
There's 3 Massage Envies. Yeah, it goes back to just start trying different therapists because there's a lot of good therapists out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
Awesome.
I'm a Massage Envy Rock Ribbon.
Gotcha. So to follow you or to contact you, what is your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever? Plug yourself now. You have none?
No, I got rid of them all.
That's so
YouTube.
Healthy.
It's yeah, they're
YouTube.
terrible for me.
Talk about anxiety.
Dude. Yeah, we have talked about it, I think, yeah. Anyways, I think it's youtube.com/ it's Ethan Blagg is my channel name. I don't remember what the URL is.
I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, there's lots of bike videos and things like that. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Ethan, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. You're helping me out by stepping in when a couple other guests had to reschedule. So I honestly appreciate it. It's always good to talk with you. Usually it's cracking up about like stupid stuff we did during cross country and track college, and
it's difficult. Can I just say it's difficult for me to take anything seriously. Asking me these questions like, oh, I actually have to be serious about something. It's good. It's for me.
Yeah, like you don't take me serious, is what you're saying, right? Not life in general, just me.
Yeah.
Excellent.
For myself.
Yeah. Well, don't take life too seriously, man. Like nobody gets out alive. So.
Yeah, exactly. Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe someday soon.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you so much. And yeah, we will. I'm sure I'll have you on again in the future to have more conversations. And yeah, I can't wait. All right, man.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Awesome. Take care.
You too.
Thanks, everybody, for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.